Hey,
What's up?
good. How are you?
Good, good. Where are you from?
Israel.
Israel?
Yeah.
Are you in the IDF?
Well, I'm on reserve, but I used to be.
Oh, so you're not in the IDF anymore?
Yeah. 1 second. הלו, כן, תקשיב, אתה דיברת איתם או מה קרה? מה זה, עד 12? אוקיי, יאללה, תודה. ביי. ביי. Yeah, okay, what's up?
Nothing much. How's the war in Gaza?
Not so good.
Not so good because I mean we live here. I live in Miami, Florida. You can see like I'm in Miami. But what
Yeah,
we get here is that Israel is pretty much committing a genocide in Gaza. Like why?
really.
Like why is Israel targeting women and children? Like we don't care if you're gonna kill Hamas. That's fine. But why women and children?
Well, I mean, we're not targeting women and children if you think we are. I mean, that's
It's not me actually. It's
a matter of
international committees that are saying that.
which international committees.
I think it's Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Doctors Without Borders, United Nation, Red Cross.
Really, the Red Cross said that.
Yeah, even you have Canada, UK, France, Japan, China, even America. Trump said, if you guys don't stop the war in Gaza, he's gonna abandon Israel from all the war crimes and atrocities. Like ICC issued an arrest warrant on Benjamin Netanyahu. The ICJ, they're still investigating on the genocide, so they haven't ruled that there's a genocide yet. But everything that Israel is doing, according to Amnesty International, constitutes to a genocide.
Can I tell you a fact? Okay?
Go ahead.
A fact. As someone from Israel that knows what goes on in the army, if you target a civilian, you are court martialed in the army for what you did and you have a criminal record. So it would be pretty hard to say that an army that does that to its soldiers and court martials any soldier that killed a civilian would be targeting women and children. I would assume that that would be a crazy claim. Although, as seeing in recent and actually since basically Israel existed, that the UN has been very against Israel from the beginning, and pro Palestinian anything that had to do with Palestinians. It was very against Israel and pro Palestinian, including forcing Israel to give up Gaza to the Palestinians, which they didn't have to, because it was given to them by the UN when they founded the state of Israel. So taking all of that into consideration, I would say the facts that I see are that they're trying to go against Israel because it doesn't fit their international whatever plan or whatever they're into.
The
Um,
accord, yeah. Are you done? So I don't want
yeah,
to. Yeah.
I think I
So
said enough.
yeah, according to international law, or United Nations and ICC and ICJ, ruled that we all know that Israel is illegally occupying East Jerusalem. That's under international law, West Bank and Gaza. So you're not really giving them a land. It's a land you're occupying. So under international law, you are obligated
Actually,
to.
actually, the Western Bank is not under Israeli control. It's under the Palestinian Authority control. They actually have their own Senate or whatever it's called in government. They have their own prime minister. They have
The
everything
PA.
of their own. Yes, the PA, and they have
Right.
everything of their own.
But who's
They have their
controlling the
own
PA?
police. Who's controlling the PA? Themselves.
Hmm.
They have
No,
their
who
own
controls
everything. They have their own taxes, their own government. They have everything all
who
all by
who
themselves.
holds? Yeah, but who controls the West Bank's import? Do they have their own airport? Do they have their own port? Do
No,
they have their own
no.
seaport?
They have their
means
own
you're
seaport.
occupying
Yes,
them.
they have their own seaport.
How? Where?
Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. Gaza has its own seaport, but let me ask you a question. They aren't on any seas. It's like asking, do they have a seaport? No, because they're not on any seas. Does Mongolia have a seaport? No, because it has no borders with any seas. It's not because anybody's stopping them from having one. They just happen to not have borders with a sea. Okay? So that's why they don't have a seaport. Airport, they can build one if they want to. They just don't have, I guess,
But
the
Israel
ambition.
destroyed their airport in 2001. Why?
What are you
see-
talking
see-
about?
Yeah, of course, Israel did destroy Gaza
their airport fell apart by itself.
No,
And Israel, yes, it was.
no.
It actually fell apart because terrorists were using it for hijacking planes to there. And once they hijacked the plane to there, Israel destroyed the airport to free the hijacking.
That is incorrect, because if you actually look at the I forgot who condemned Israel for destroying the Gazan airport, and I think it was called Arafat Airport at the time, I think. But it was destroyed because Israel striked that airport based on assumptions that they might smuggle military or might hijack planes and attack Israel with it. So
They did hijack planes.
No.
They did hijack planes. And also, by the way,
when? Give me a date. When?
When did they hijack
Because
a plane?
under international law, I forgot the name of that committee. I can actually look it up. And they condemned Israel for attacking, and Israel's response was, "We attacked them because because this is a way they can smuggle military."
So is that not true? Let me ask you a question. Is that not true?
But okay. Let's say if your assumptions, I mean, they haven't attacked you or hijacked planes and attacked Israel with it, or even smuggled military during that time, at least during that time, the time you destroyed.
First of all, what are you talking about? In 2001? Do you know that in 2000? Do you know that in 2001, Gaza was still part of Israel? You know that, right?
Let me double check exactly when Gaza. I might be wrong with the date.
Gaza exited Israel in 2005. So if Israel destroyed Gaza,
destroyed in 2001.
Okay, and by then Gaza was still part of Israel by 2001. The Oslo Agreement did not fall into place until 2005, which is when Israel pulled out of Gaza, which means that Gaza was still
during the Second Intifada.
Okay, so meaning this. Do you know what the Second Intifada was?
That's a uprise. Why does
it's a little bit. Happen? It's a little bit. It's not really an up. I mean, I guess you can call it an uprise, but it's more of a community terrorism, I would say. Meaning Arabs were killing Jews at the masses at the time in Israel, blowing themselves up on buses, shooting at random people, stabbing all the time. Okay, so you wouldn't want a nation of people who said out loud that their main focus is to obliterate your country. You wouldn't probably want to let them have an airport and planes that they could easily crash into any building you want with no security pre-check of your own, right?
But
I mean, that's just safe to assume. Meaning, America wouldn't want, let's say Canada decided one day that they're right next to America, and they decided our main purpose now is to destroy America. No matter what happens,
America has the right to destroy them.
We don't care what happens. So then America has the right to destroy them. So same thing happens.
You know why America has the right to destroy them?
Why does America
just for one simple reason? Yes. Right now, if Egypt attacked Israel or Jordan attacked Israel, Israel has the right to destroy them. But you're talking about West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza within a region that you occupied, separated from proper Israel. So these are not different countries, because if they were different countries, let me ask you a question. Is Israel controlling the import and export of Jordan and Egypt? No, because that's a sovereign country. Now, if as long as you're controlling people's import export, even if they have a seaport, whether they don't, and their airspace, that constitutes an occupation. And when you have an occupation, you cannot blame people that you're oppressing, that they're becoming, for example, like you guys call them animals. You guys created those people.
1 second. What do you mean occupation? What do you mean created those people? First of all, nobody has an excuse to kill anyone. I don't care what their excuse is. Okay.
Listen,
First of all,
the suicide bombs, the suicide bombs and the stabbing, that is condemned internationally and morally. It's condemned.
Really? Have you seen the celebrations? Have you seen the celebrations on university campuses all over America for the October 7th? Have you not seen those?
Okay, we've seen it. Of course, we've seen it. Listen, we've seen people celebrating. I'm not just and I've seen Israelis on videos taking their children on hilltops, watching Gaza being bombarded, taking them on boat rides, watching and celebrating how they're. So you can't. It's pretty much both sides. Like, you bombard Gaza, you have people that are celebrating. Palestinians attack Israel. You have people that are celebrating from both sides. I'm not denying it, because I see it. You understand what I'm saying? But who created this? You can't. Okay, let's put it this way. Since the occupation,
okay,
would you ever know who PLO is, Hamas, or who they call them? I think Qassam or Pashabia. Would you know all these people unless there was an occupation? Now, if there was an occupation,
what do you mean occupation? Who occupied who?
The Zionists occupied the Palestine. What's wrong with you?
What do you mean occupied? They didn't have the country ever. It was never theirs. When was it theirs? Give me a date.
I'll tell you. Let me ask you a question. During the British Mandate of Iraq, British Mandate of Transjordan, French colony of Lebanon, French colony of Syria, were those countries sovereign?
No.
Were those countries? No. So when British colony, that's why it was called mandate, it was governing, but those people were still considered Palestinian, just like people were considered Syrian, Iraqis, Lebanese. They weren't sovereign at that. They didn't become sovereign until 1945, 1946. So are you going to tell me those people before...
Who became sovereign in 1945, 1946? It literally was the British mandate.
Syria and Lebanon.
Yes,
that's when
Syria and Lebanon. Okay, but what happened in Israel? In Israel, what happened was, it was the British mandate until 1947, I think, or 48. And then it became the Israeli government.
When was Israel recognized as a state?
Received it, 1948. Okay. Yes.
49. It was recognized. You declared your independence, and let me just tell you something. When you declare your independence in May 14, 1948, and you're not recognized as a state until May 1949, so it took you a whole year to be recognized as a state, you pretty much declared your occupation, because when you had the partition plan was partitioned
what do you mean?
To the
Let
United
me ask you a question. When the United States declared its independence, how long did it take them to be recognized as a state or as a country?
When did they declare their independence?
When did the United States declare their independence? I don't know, probably 1776 or something.
Okay, when they had the Constitution, but the difference.
Okay, 1 second. Let me ask you. When were they recognized as a country?
I'm not sure, but I know the Constitution was written in. The Constitution was written in 1776.
So let me tell you something.
A completely different comparison.
Let me tell you something. Okay, as somebody who controls land, if you conquered a land, let's say America conquered, let's say the colonies conquered the United States, okay, and for example, when Prussia conquered Germany and Austria or whatever. And any other war that ever happened when somebody conquered something, right? They declare themselves as the state. And if nobody came up and killed the person right away because it's actually their state, or put them in jail, if there's no court system above that person in that area, that means that person has their state. You don't have to have some guy from America or some president in the United States recognize you as a state for you to become a state. I don't understand why Americans think that they own the world. That they own the world. And the UN in New York decides when somebody becomes a country or not. And if the UN in New York decided that you're not a country, then you're not a country. No. If the courts over here are my courts, and the government over here is my government, and the police here is my police, it's my country, okay? And whether you like it or not, that's the truth, okay? Now, if you want to go into that's about the occupation and who's in charge and whose land it really is and whose land it really isn't. That's how it works. That's how it's worked since the 1500s and way before.
I'll tell you how it works, because if it does it, I mean, if you really think that there's no need to United Nations to recognize you and all these international committees to recognize you, why would Israel propose a recognition from United Nations? Because United Nations, at the time you guys declared your independence, they said, whoa, where are you going? You just displaced 750,000 people. You massacred, you wiped out 531 villages, and now you declared your independence under what? You came in as, that's according to international committees, you guys came in as refugees, displaced the indigenous people. You had a partition plan that was non-binding, which means that when it's non-binding, it means that you were the refugee and those were the indigenous people. And it's clear that you were given them, the partition plan was, you're giving them 46% and taking 54%. And they obviously they're going to reject it. But then
what if I were to tell you
Begin? His name Begin, Menachem Begin, I think his name is
Begin, Menachem Begin.
Menachem Begin. Him and Ben Gurion were just praying that they reject the partition plan in order for them to start displacing the Palestinians and attacking them through the Lehi, the Haganah, and the Stern Gang, who were actually labeled in the London intelligence as terrorist groups. So it was unlike, you can't compare it to America, because if you're going to go to the Native Americans today, they're not being oppressed by the Americans, even though they live in reservations, but they're free to do whatever they want. What you're doing here for the past 77 years, if you're been
one second. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When the colonies took over the United States, let's say you're in Florida now, right? Miami, Florida.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The people that lived over there, they weren't regular Indians. What were they called? They had a name. Whatever they were, some kind of Indian whatever kind of Indian that were in Florida, right? If Florida, they were to now ask
the Cherokees or I mean, we had parts of the Okeechobee, the Hialeah. I mean, those were all Indian areas up until today. We still consider them Indian areas.
Whoever, I don't care. Whoever was in wherever your land, whoever ran the land that Miami is in now, whoever that was, I don't care. Okay, if they now decided that they want it back, okay, because you took it forcefully from them, and they didn't like it, okay, and the same goes for every other land in the whole entire world, meaning some tribes come back to Germany and say, listen, the Roman Empire took it, we're not cool with that, we want it back. Or the Gypsies go back to Hungary and say, listen, part of this is ours, and whatever else happens, okay? Do you think in your right mind that anybody would give them the light of day?
So right now you're trying to say if the natives, they came back and want to take over America, they don't have that right anymore. Because
why not?
I'll tell you why not. Because there was a peace treaty, even though it wasn't much in their favor, but I mean they were free, whoever was left from them. Now they live free in America or in the United States under a constitution where they have the same exact rights as anybody in America. It doesn't matter. So they even get free tax. I mean, they don't even pay tax. So the difference is these people now, if they want to uprise and say, oh, we want our country back, it's too late. Because
why is it too late?
Because they signed a treaty and they were fine with America taking over.
Okay,
now the big difference.
Do you know that the PLO also signed a treaty with Israel?
Let me add just one last point. If the natives were still resisting up until today, and they were rejecting all the peace treaties because this is their land and they want it back, then America, they can still take it back. As long as you stop resisting and you stop fighting, then it's your land. That's it. It means that people gave up. But as long as people are resisting, it means you are still oppressing those people.
So if I steal your car, okay, and then you And then since I was able to elude you or whatever, and the police couldn't find me, okay, and I stole your car, and you had no way of getting it back. The police wouldn't help you. Nobody would help you. Okay, um, and so you give up, and then later you find out, oh no, listen, I have some friends. I could just go over to his house, jack the car, and just take it back. But since you gave up for a while, then you can't take it back anymore because I said it becomes mine since you gave up. Is that how it works?
No, but the way you're saying it is you're taking a car when there is a law. Unless there is a law, the law can
Yeah.
find the car. If the law cannot find my car, there is an insurance company to pay me for the car. So
No,
there is
let's say you have a
some
car,
type
no
of-
insurance. Let's say you have a car,
if
no
there's no
insurance.
insurance and
Okay,
I
regular
give up
car.
I'm looking for the car.
You give up.
I
I'm
give up
looking
on
for the
look-
car. Yes.
You give up, but the analogy you're using, it's no
Yeah.
comparison to
Why?
an entire country,
Why
because
not?
you need to because the problem is with your colonial project and Palestine was not the intention to only have a Jewish state, was only to have a Jewish state excluding Arabs. Now the Arabs, the
Right.
2 million.
One second. No. I'm taking your car, excluding you. I have no intention of letting you ride in the car ever. I'm not going to take you in an Uber. I'm not going to take you. I'm not going to take you ever. Happens to be you gave up, no insurance. Police told you they closed the case. Okay. One day you're walking to Walmart. You see your car in the parking lot. Okay. You're like, hey man, I could just go take it back. I have a spare key. But you already gave up, so maybe you can't take it back anymore because it's not how it works because you gave up. Or maybe, listen, now the Indians
No,
are
but
like,
the-
listen, at
but
the
the
time in the
difference- the difference
1800s,
is the
nobody would tell
car-
the U.S. what to do. But now we could go to the UN and say, listen, we want Miami back. Why don't you give us Miami back? And we want
but
whatever
you see,
else
when I
back.
take the car back, and let's
Yeah.
say they come and they want to arrest me, all they have to run is the VIN number, and it's under my name. The car.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to say the analogy. It just
Also,
does not
okay,
make
so we
sense.
could run the VIN number on Florida, and we'll see if you run the history back that it's the Indians. So they could also just come back and say, listen, look at the history.
What history do you have?
What do you mean, what history do I have?
Because no. The only history, because we already know that there were Jews living there. Of course, we know that.
Yes.
Nobody can deny that.
There was a
But at
Jewish
the same time,
kingdom.
what? Okay. Now,
Yeah.
now, when you go, because I read a lot about this. You heard of the Persian era, right?
Yes.
The Persian era.
Yes.
The Persian, like when you look at the Persian era, and it says Persian era of Palestine, which was way before the Romans. When you read the book, I forgot who wrote it. And
It
you go
wasn't
to
that.
actually,
It wasn't that much before the It wasn't that much before the Romans.
Yeah,
it was
but
like
why-
70 years before. But yeah.
It doesn't matter, but it was before. But
Yeah.
the Persian era of Palestine, it specifically says, yeah, there was the kingdom of Israel and Judea. But those two were functioning as a province in Palestine. So it was still considered Palestine. Even when you go back to even further to Herodotus, he mentions Palestine, and he doesn't mention Judea and Kingdom of Israel for one simple reason, is because they were only functioning as a province. As long as you're occupying people, even if you get rid of Hamas now, you're going to have a Hamas group, a W group, a Z group, all those, because you're oppressing people. So if you want to avoid October 7th to happen again, you're going to have to end occupation in Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. Because who is there Hamas in West Bank? There's no Hamas in West Bank.
Oh, they have worse.
Why? There's no. Why is there illegal settlers expansion in Area C?
There are more
That goes
terrorist
against
attacks.
Oslo.
There are more terrorist attacks out of the West Bank than there are out of Gaza. Okay.
Okay. Why?
It's way worse. Why?
Yeah.
Because that's
Why
because
did America threaten Israel to stop supplying them with rifles? Because they caught Ben Gvir arming all these settlers in the West Bank to attack the people, the Palestinians in the West Bank, because that constitutes problems there. And the main problem, even the Knesset says the main problem in the West Bank are the settlers that are causing the problems in the West Bank. When they go attack people, uproot their trees, attack people while they're sleeping, break their glass, attack women and children while they're walking on the street. We see those on videos on 4K.
Really? Really?
It's not like I'm just, I can't just accuse you. I don't know your name, but I can't say, oh, I saw you. No, I can say, hey, look, I saw you here. Look at this video. I saw you doing 1, 2, 3. And that's the thing in the West that we're watching. It's not we're accusing you. Look what happened 2 days ago. The people that were, the couple that were